Iran just sent a 14-point peace proposal. Trump said he can't imagine it would be acceptable because Iran hasn't paid a big enough price. But here is the question nobody is asking: how much is enough? And what does enough price actually mean when you are talking about ending a war? On Saturday, May 2, 2026, Iran submitted a 14-point peace proposal through Pakistani mediators to end the war with the United States. The proposal reportedly includes lifting the U.S. naval blockade, payment of war reparations, unfreezing of frozen Iranian assets, withdrawal of U.S. military forces from the region, and a 30-day window to finalize the peace terms. It was a substantive offer that represents Iran's negotiating position after 9 weeks of conflict, weeks of ceasefire negotiations, and months of political division inside Iran's own government. Trump received briefings on the proposal on Saturday morning before boarding Air Force One in West Palm Beach, Florida. He was asked by reporters about Iran's new offer. And here is what he said, word for word, because the exact words matter enormously in understanding where this war actually stands right now. Trump told reporters that he had been briefed on the concept of the deal. That is his exact language, the concept of the deal. He said he had not yet reviewed the exact wording. Then he was asked if military strikes could resume, and Trump said if they do something bad, there is a possibility it could happen. Later that day, Trump posted on Truth Social his more formal response to Iran's proposal. He wrote, "I will soon be reviewing the plan that Iran has just sent to us, but can't imagine that it would be acceptable in that they have not yet paid a big enough price for what they have done to humanity and the world over the last 47 years. Read that statement very carefully because it reveals something fundamental about Trump's negotiating position that is being dramatically underreported. Trump is not saying that Iran's specific proposal is unacceptable because of specific terms. He is saying the proposal is unacceptable because Iran itself has not suffered enough. That is a fundamentally different statement than a negotiating disagreement over policy details. Let me be precise about what Trump actually means when he says Iran has not paid a big enough price. He is referring to the military cost Iran has absorbed over the past 9 weeks. Iran has had its supreme leader assassinated. It has had its nuclear facilities bombed. It has had its military infrastructure destroyed across the country. It has had its air defenses degraded. It has had its navy decimated. Estimates suggest between 3,600 and 4,000 civilian and military deaths. Its economy has been battered by blockade and sanctions. And yet Trump is saying that this price is not big enough, that Iran needs to suffer more before it has earned the right to a settlement that it actually wants. This is not the language of someone preparing to negotiate a deal. This is the language of someone preparing to continue applying military pressure until Iran breaks entirely. Now let me address what Iran's 14-point proposal actually contains, because understanding what Iran is asking for is essential to understanding why Trump's response is so significant. Iran is asking for the U.S. naval blockade to be lifted. Iran is asking for war reparations, meaning financial compensation for the damage the U.S. and Israel have inflicted over the past 9 weeks. Iran is asking for frozen Iranian assets to be unfrozen and returned. Iran is asking for US military forces to be withdrawn from the region. And Iran is asking for a 30-day window to finalize all the peace terms. These are serious negotiating requests. They are not unreasonable requests. But they are also not requests that Trump appears prepared to grant, because in Trump's calculation, Iran has not yet paid a big enough price to earn the right to ask for them. Here is what I think this statement reveals about Trump's actual objective in this war. Trump did not start this war with the goal of achieving a specific settlement that would end the conflict and return to stability. Trump started this war with the goal of breaking Iran so completely that Iran would eventually accept whatever terms the United States dictated. The language of making Iran pay a big enough price is the language of someone who views this war not as a conflict to be resolved but as a punishment to be inflicted. The goal is not a negotiated settlement. The goal is Iranian capitulation, and Trump believes that Iran has not yet reached the point of capitulation. That Iran still has options, that Iran still has some ability to resist, and therefore the pressure needs to continue until that ability is eliminated. This interpretation is supported by Trump's other statements on Saturday. When asked if military strikes could resume, Trump did not say no. He said, if they do something bad, there is a possibility it could happen. That language suggests that Trump views the ceasefire as temporary, that Trump views military action as something that could restart at any moment if Iran steps even slightly out of line. Trump also said that the United States is doing very well and that Iran was desperate for a settlement because the country has been decimated. That language of decimation and desperation suggests that Trump believes the military campaign has been successful and should continue until Iran is so desperate that it will accept American terms unconditionally. Now let me address what has actually happened on the ground, because the human cost of waiting for Iran to reach capitulation is something that Trump's statement obscures. Gas prices in America have hit $4.45 per gallon nationally. In California, gas prices have reached $6.10 per gallon. Diesel fuel has reached $5.64 per gallon. That is an increase of almost $2 per gallon since the war began on February 28. Global oil supplies remain strangled because the Strait of Hormuz remains functionally closed. Iran is moving forward with legislation to place further restrictions on which vessels can pass through the strait. The URG says it remains on full standby to resume hostilities, and Trump's statement that Iran has not paid a big enough price yet suggests that this strangled oil market could continue indefinitely. The ceasefire is fragile, the negotiations are effectively stalled, and Trump has just publicly signaled that he does not believe Iran has suffered enough to warrant the kind of settlement Iran is prepared to offer. Here is the honest assessment of what Trump's statement means for the world right now. A 14-point proposal has been submitted by Iran. That proposal will now be rejected or heavily modified because Trump has signaled that no Iranian proposal will be acceptable until Iran has reached a state of complete capitulation. The blockade will continue. The oil market will remain disrupted. Gas and fuel prices will continue to pressure global inflation, and every day that this war continues without a settlement is a day that the economic consequences ripple across the global economy. The people paying the real price for Trump's view that Iran has not yet suffered enough are not Iranian generals. They are American families buying gas at $6 a gallon. They are European families heating their homes with oil at premium prices. They are global supply chains disrupted by fuel costs and shipping delays. Trump has made a choice. He has decided that the objective of this war is not a negotiated settlement but Iranian total defeat. He has decided that Iran must be broken so completely that it has no choice but to accept whatever terms are dictated to it, and he has decided that this objective is worth the economic cost of a continued blockade and disrupted global energy markets. That is a legitimate policy choice. It could prove correct. If Trump's pressure campaign eventually does break Iran and force capitulation, then he might achieve a settlement that is more favorable to American interests than a negotiated compromise would be, but it could also prove catastrophic. Because every day the blockade continues is a day that the global economy absorbs more shock. Every day Iran refuses to capitulate despite suffering is a day that the risk of renewed military escalation increases. And every day this war drags on is a day that the geopolitical consequences of American military overreach in the Middle East compound themselves. Iran paid a price. Trump says it is not enough, and so the war that was supposed to end continues one day at a time until someone decides that the price that has already been paid is finally sufficient.